Hi. So coming back to the original question, which is, why did you select USB schools, and what is the advice that you have in terms of funding, and how do you plan to do it yourself?
Yeah, it's one of the main things that first comes to anyone of Indian financial background. Seeing 1 crore plus of fees, you're almost shocked, like how I'm going to do it. So obviously the alternative comes to our mind is ISB. We think, okay, that's the best place to land up, and since it's 1 year course, it's best to do. But there's hell lot of competition for ISB, since it's billion people competing over there, so everyone can't get through ISB. So next option, you have to keep up open yourself for more, like not put all your eggs in the same bucket type. So you have to start searching for USB schools. That's what I started USB schools for. Then in the USB schools, again, like you have rankings for so many types of rankings are there. You start looking for your own specialization, what counts for you. So in your specialization, select 4 or 5 schools. What I say, good number is 4 or 5 schools, so that there are every bracket of schools that are covered in those. And then plan your finances according to those schools. Basically the top 10 schools definitely don't give you scholarships, so you would have decided before, like what are you going to do? Maybe take up loan, or you have some co-signer who's going to help you, or something like that. But again, if you're going down the score, going down the ranking, maybe plus 20 or something, you're going to use your score and use your profile to actually get a scholarship. And even if they don't give, you can actually negotiate and fight for that. So yeah, and I think that's one of the things you can do. And finally, when you have 3-4 admits, you can decide you want to now burn your money, or you can go for it with the scholarship.
Is there any kind of funding that you're getting from that place, or your scholarship is?
Yeah, from Michigan State, I've got full scholarship. Like we have given fellowship plus graduate assistantship, so that covers the complete tuition fee. I have to just take care of the living and boarding. No, guys, but I have to work 10 hours per week.
Wow.
So yeah, one more. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I would suggest you apply first and not think about financing as of before you apply. So think of financing once you get in, and then if you're not able to finance yourself, too bad. But the lots more options open up as you get done with that process. Like I applied to UNC, and I was planning to fund everything from loans and cash from my parents, but I didn't know that they had a loan program from college. So they have a co-signer free loan, which is like $40,000 a year, and that almost takes care of tuition. So I'm in the same boat, except I have to pay that money back. So as him, so each college is separate. So you can't calculate living expenses as a generic thing. So like if you're studying in New York, it'll be super expensive. If you're studying in Arizona, it'll be cheaper, much cheaper actually, like especially with housing. So you can't come up with a good figure like I need this much till you actually choose a college. And once you do that, by that time everybody else is looking at financial options. So we actually have a WhatsApp group with UNC guys, and the kind of options they're looking at as a group now have so many more things to think of. So instead of doing it alone and stressing about it and not doing well in your applications, you might as well do it after you get in. That's what I suggest.
Yep. So I'll split this question in two. I again have a little different take on this. So before I applied, so I have no savings, none at all. Whatever I earned, I've put it in, I've burnt it all, so no savings at all. And first and foremost, focus on your GMAT. Decide your colleges post your score, because there's a huge difference in the schools that you'll get at 700 and at 750. So make your target schools and prepare accordingly. So get your GMAT score, post that, do your research on what is the average range of GMATs that accepted. Don't go by the average overall class score, because that includes US nationals, which tend to have a lower score. So see what's the average Indian scores that they take, which is usually the top 10-15 would be in the range of 700 plus. So do your research on that. After that, list down your schools, US, or if you are planning for ISB, or even in the Europe. There are two options that you have provided you've got a good score. Take a lower rank score, you get a great scholarship, and 60-70% you'll definitely get. Second option is take a top 10-15 school, which might or might not give you a scholarship. There are two ways of funding your entire fees. It's not that there are no options available. One, if you have a cosigner in the US, it's a very good state for you, and in a good state, no worry about the finances. In case you are an Indian and nobody in the US, you don't have a cosigner, there are plenty of options available now There's a Prodigy loan which has come up, which do give you a good substantial amount. Let's say 80k is the expenditure, 80k USD is the expenditure for 1 year. They'll finance you around 40 to 50,000 USD, which is quite a good amount, though you will still need your some funding in that case. If that's not possible, then I would say apply to schools like Emory. If you have provided you've got a good school, Emory, McCombs, they give you decent scholarship. So I had a choice between Emory with scholarship and again Georgetown with scholarship, or ISB. I even applied to ISB because I didn't know whether I'll be able to manage my funds or not. But having researched into this thing and seeing what kind of returns will be possible, now I'll be going to Michigan, and I'm not taking. In fact, I have no scholarship there and no savings. But somehow loans have worked out for me, and you can call it a risk. But yeah, that's the odd that you have to decide whether you are willing to take the risk or not. That's a very personal call, and nobody can decide on your behalf. If you want to do it, there are plenty of options available. You will find a way. But again, how much you want to put yourself under the fire, and how much you want to pressurize yourself on that. So it's a very personal choice. College selection on that front, I would say, see where your career options post. Nobody is very sure of what they exactly want to do, but you would have a broad idea about the 2 or 3 kind of roles that you would want to do. In case you don't know, the people in the school are very open, so reach out to them, talk to them. They would give you time. You'll have to send a few emails, but talk to them. That will really give you an idea about the kind of options available in the school, because each school, though top 10, 15 schools, every company is there, but sometimes some roles are not very open for internationals in few schools. So research about that, and that would be one area that you should really think before you apply, right? So that would be my advice, and take a call based on what options you have afterwards.
To answer the first question regarding finances, one thing, I don't completely agree that all US MBAs cost 1 crore, because I think that's a myth again. State universities are generally cheaper in the US. There are a lot of good state universities in the top 20 and even in the 20 to 40 bucket, and typically the fees in state universities are between $55,000 for 2 years to $80,000. So UIUC, where I got in and where I've decided to go, the fees is around $58,000 a year. So that's like at the max 35 lakhs for 2 years put together. And I got a 20% scholarship, so that would bring the course fee to around 28 lakhs and maybe around 10 lakhs a year to live. So it's like 20 lakhs. So within 50 lakhs, you can do an MBA from the US. And Texas A&M is even cheaper. So there are a lot of good options in the 10 to 40 bucket of schools where you could really look at doing an MBA in the US for 50 lakhs. I think in terms of loan options, they have already explained pretty much every option that exists. GMAT does have a huge impact in terms of the scholarship amount that you get. This is something that I realized. So it also depends on the school. So for example, UIUC and Arizona State, where I got in, were slightly up in ranking, and my GMAT was actually well below the class average. So my scholarship amounts were between 10 and 20%, whereas Boston and Pittsburgh, which are slightly lower down the ranking, I got scholarships around 60 to 70%. So that's how GMAT has an impact in terms of the scholarships that you get. In terms of school selection, of course, if you're going to the top 10, there's very little to look after, because you know that the brand will actually push you through a good job. But if you're looking at schools after 10 or 15, maybe a good way to start searching is one region definitely helps, because you know that the West Coast is known for technology and the East Coast is known for finance. So if you're looking at a good program in finance, a Stern is a great option, and even Boston College is a good finance school. So even if you look at the ranking for a particular course, you will see that regions typically have a decent influence in terms of ranking as far as a particular score is concerned. Another good way to go about with it is look at the target companies that you are looking at, and then see if those companies are coming into those campuses for those kind of roles. You also get a sectoral split in terms of what percentage of the students go to which industry. So that will also give you a fair idea. For example, in Harvard and in such schools, you see a lot of them going into finance, banking jobs and so on. Whereas you go to a CMU, a Carnegie Mellon, you see a lot of them going into technology kind of jobs. In UIUC, it's primarily consulting because Chicago area is known for consulting. So you get this kind of a split, and you can make a short list of around 10 schools or so that you would like to apply based on your job function, based on the fees and things like that. And after that, all this is a very superficial research. I think beyond that, what you need to do is, write to these schools, try to get contacts of students and alums. I think Crackverbal also helps a lot on that front. I got in touch with a lot of students who went from Crackverbal to a lot of these schools, and that would give you a real feel of, what's actually happening within the school. And then, of course, you need to look at the program, because I was always looking at a program that had a lot of flexibility, because I was looking at something, I was looking at a program that was a mix of product management and strategy, and they lie under two different functions. So I wanted to take a program that will allow me to kind of specialize in both of these. So then you kind of look at the kind of program that you want based on these kind of personal objectives that you have, and you fine tune that list of 10 or 12 to about 5 schools. So that's the way I went about doing it.
Very well articulated. So I think summarizing, especially what a lot of people think is first apply, or first think about the B school and then take the GMAT. But what you're really saying is go ahead, take the GMAT, apply to a B school. It's like a leap of faith. So once you make that leap of faith, after that, the doors will start opening. It's like somehow. Have you heard of this thing called what is it called? Theory of positive conspiracy. Have you heard of it? Secret. Right? And it says that if you, and Hindi movies also, you have Om Shanti Om. Correct? That if you really want something, you will eventually be able to get it. So I think it's really heartening to see someone who has got a huge scholarship, right? Someone who's got a loan, and even how many of you would be okay with a loan, 100% loan, saying that I'll pay it after 2 years. Let's see it then. Right now, at least it answers my problem. Or someone, in fact, more interestingly, both in the case of Paul and Garb, you actually choose a school which has given you, lower scholarship or, less scholarship, and, choose it over a school which probably has given you more scholarship just because eventually rankings matter, right?